Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about the Spider-Man Miles Morales video game. There will be some spoilers, but I've finished the game recently, and I thought it was a okay, decent companion game because I have to remember it is a companion game. It's not a full-fledged game. I wish it kind of was a full-fledged game though, but I can understand why they didn't do it. But again, with that issue, it comes with the fact like, dang, why did I pay full price for a companion game then more so than like paying $40 for it or $30 for it. I done paid $60 for it, And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's not like it wasn't a off the terrible thing like Marvel's Avengers or Last of Us Part 2, but it still kind of made you be like, dang, why do we have to pay full price for companion games though? Because back in the day when a game came out, if it wasn't a full-fledged video game, you didn't have to pay the full-fledged price for it. Nowadays, you gotta pay full price plus downloadable content for companion pieces to the game, and it's just like, okay, but the game actually could have been a massive add-on to really, Peter Parker's Spider-Man game that we had in 2018. But I know the reason why they really did that is really because you had a whole new face model, which is a whole nother topic within itself, and I'm not going to get started on how terrible that goddamn face is. But yeah, so the game is pretty cool. Is looks beautiful. Graphic wise, everything is amazing. I'm playing on the PlayStation 4, so as high as possible that I can get on my console. It looks amazing. I don't know how it look on PlayStation 5. I'm quite sure it looks amazing. Miles Morales done got to upgrade with that haircut. That boy looking fresh. The only issue I was confused about why he got on some goddamn Adidas. just trying to figure this out. He's in New York City, and he's a black child. I don't know. I would probably say he should be wearing him some Nike or some Jordans and stuff like that. And that's another thing. Where was that suit in the game? Yeah, they make their own version of the sportswear, but where was that costume at in the game? And where was the simplified Miles Morales suit itself, the ones without Insomniac putting all them extra details onto it? Because Spider-Man had his original sleek costume, and then Insomniac had their own version of the costume. I just kind of thought it was weird that Miles didn't have his original slick, costume, and then they had the modified updated one when he went to the main Marvel continuity. I was looking for that costume as well too. But other than that, that was pretty cool. I was really surprised about the Tinkerer because it was weird because I heard rumors that it was supposed to be Yuri, even though Yuri Watanabe in the comic books is supposed to be Wrath. So I know there was rumors that people were saying that she was gonna probably be the Tinkerer in this video game, because of the fact that she used technology to take on evil people and corporations and stuff like that. So I'm kind of glad that it wasn't her, because I felt like that could have been a whole entire story development that needs to happen, and I don't think it would be fun if it happened in Miles' story without Miles really having any real interaction with Yuri. But to have it with his friend Finn, wow. I knew she might had some recollection of who the Tinkerer was, but her actually being the Tinkerer is just mind blown. I was actually expecting it to be her brother, but I really wasn't paying the attention that it was a female. I should have known it was Finn, even though, because they showed it, but for some reason I still wasn't expecting the darn best girlfriend of Miles Morales to be there. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. The video game was pretty interesting. It's literally like a big expansion pack. I enjoyed the Venom powers and the camouflage. it's a little hard to get used to, only because I keep forgetting that I'm not playing a Spider-Man game. I'm playing a Miles Morales Spider-Man game, because sometimes I would forget that I have those powers, and when I'm in a clutch, and I would just be like, oh shit, and then I have to remember, oh yeah, I have Venom powers and I have the camouflage and stuff like that. So it was one of those learning curves to kind of get used to. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cool. The story basically felt like a issue run, like issue number 1 through 6 of Miles Morales. That's what it felt like. That's literally what it felt like. I really wish they kind of slowed down. It felt like they were going without getting enough breathing time. Um, you know how Peter had those moments. I felt like Miles needed a little bit more of those, and he didn't have that. That's another little thing that I thought about the game that was a problem, was the fact that it felt like he didn't have enough of those down moments or whatever. And I would have loved to see more, like little flashbacks of him and his father, so we can get to know Jefferson through Miles' eyes and not through Peter's eyes, because it felt like we got to know Jefferson his through Peter's eyes, but we didn't really get that much from Miles. Yes, you had the Prowler with the side missions and them talking about him every once in a while, but as far as like actually getting to know him, I felt like this game would have been the perfect opportunity to really get in that and stuff like that. And I was a little disappointed that it didn't go into depth with his Puerto Rican roots. Like, hello, his mom is Puerto Rican, his family is Puerto Rican, and he's also black too. I would have wanted to see a little bit more of that culture side and stuff like that. Yes, Harlem is a good place where you can get that, but it felt like it was less than far between. And I don't want people to think that I'm being really negative on the video game, because I really did like the video game. It's one of the few video games of this year that I've really got the chance to enjoy. But it's just, little story pacing issues. It felt like they were trying to rush it out or whatever and stuff like that, even though I know they didn't, because I know they worked really hard on it. But it really did feel like it was rushed, and it felt like they didn't have enough time to really get into depth with Miles himself as the character, and his side characters, his family and stuff like that. I would love to see more of that, because it's kind of like they kind of just jumped us into his life, which with Peter Parker, that's understandable more so than anything. But with Miles, that character just became Spider-Man a year ago, and then now you're like throwing us in there, and it's kind of like, okay, but let us get to know him a little bit more, besides him only being able to go to his home, and little certain moments in the story where he's not in his costume was a little bit disappointing, because it felt like with Peter, they let him go to these different places, and him actually, talking to these people, getting to know people a little bit more. But again, I understand it's a companion game, so I really can't really look for a full throttle game. It makes me wonder, will Spider-Man 2 be like a dual thing going on between Peter and Miles, or is it going to be focusing heavily on Spider-Man, and then for side moments it will have Miles in there? It'll be interesting to see how that works. But that's what I really think about the story. It felt like it was just too quick. That's all, really. They didn't really get into depth with the main villain besides the Tinkerer. You had Roxxon, and it just felt like, okay, but we need to see more in depth with that. Like, what else have they done? You know what I'm saying? Besides us taking down the labs or whatever, or knowing that, of course, they're the bad guys or whatever. But that's what I wanted to see. I wish we kind of like had Miles having to sneak in and trying to figure out more things or something like that, or seeing certain scenes that gives us a little bit more about who Simon is as a character, and seeing what drove him to do what he did with Roxxon Entertainment. And then the Prowler came out of nowhere, to be honest. I know Uncle Aaron is the Prowler, but it felt like there was really no build up for him. It was just like we were told that he was a Prowler or whatever. And I'm not even gonna lie, the suit's ugly. The suit's pretty ugly to me. it felt too bulky for me. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that I'm into bulky costumes when they don't need to be, even if it is like some armored tech or whatever. When it comes to a person that's already fit or whatever, they don't need to be in a bulkier costume and stuff like that. And I kind of missed the cape, to be honest, for the Prowler, but that's just me because I've, seen him in the comic books, so I was just expecting the cape and the claws and a little bit more form fitting, more so than this bulk thing or whatever and stuff like that. And his motivations kind of felt a little bit too much conflicted. I wish we got to see him throughout the story a little bit way more than just those few moments that we did have, because again, the story is basically felt like a comic book run of Miles Morales from the first story arcs, issue number 1 to issue number 6, and that's really pretty much it with the video game. But other than that, the web swinging was pretty interesting. I like how different it is, and I really thought I wasn't going to be one of those people that was going to like mess up swinging, but it seems like Insomniac purposely made it where you would. So it was time where I was swinging, and Miles sometimes don't land on his feet, or sometimes he literally swings into the goddamn wall, and you just be like, interesting. But it was pretty cool to see that kind of stuff. I love how you can incorporate Venom into his getting his jumps and getting it high or whatever and stuff like that. That was pretty interesting, and a lot of the costumes are very unique, some more so than others and stuff like that. I know he has 19 costumes, but my hope is actually they'll give like a little downloadable content, to be honest. I'm not saying that I hated the game, but it just felt like there were just so much that we haven't scratched yet. It was like it felt like more like the first 4 hours of Spider-Man, and then the game just ends. Like, you know what I mean? If we was playing the Marvel Spider-Man game that Insomniac released in 2018, and we only played the first 4 hours, or we're doing the lead up to Kingpin, and then we finally fought Kingpin, and then bam, the story ends. That's what Spider-Man Miles Morales felt like to me. But this isn't a dig on the game because I like it. For me, I would give it like a 7 out of 10 because it is a good video game. I was quite enjoying the story and enjoying the characters. The gameplay was fantastic. It did have a little crash and bugs here and there, but let's be honest, what game doesn't? But at least it wasn't like, ooh, Marvel's Avengers. Oh, every time I get, I'm gonna rag on that game because that game no better. But yeah, other than that, the game was pretty solid. I would say a 7 out of 10. Right now I'm just finishing up the side missions, and I'm probably gonna play it on New Game Plus to see how great it is on New Game Plus. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty good, interesting story, and it was pretty cool to see Miles coming on his own as Spider-Man. And I like how I hear people like, oh, you talking about the Spider Kid or Spider Junior or Spider Boy or the wannabe Spider-Man, because it kind of feels like if we've seen Peter Parker for a long time, and then here comes a new Spider person, of course we're all gonna say that to him or whatever, stuff like that. But the good thing is, I am so glad the game didn't focus on the fact that he was black or Puerto Rican or something like that, because in today's climate, it has this thing where they want to like throw it in your face. And that's another thing that I was a little quite disappointed too, is that I wanted them to get more into their culture or stuff like that. And his moments between Rio and Miles themselves, they should have been speaking a little bit more Spanish for me. I'm just saying, I've been over my friend's house and stuff like that, and even though the mom speaks English and stuff like that, when she's talking to her son or husband, or husband or best friend who can speak it and stuff like that, they turn on the Spanish. They don't speak in mostly English, especially not when it's towards each other. But that's just me. That's just my opinion and stuff like that. But I can't wait to see what the future holds for Insomniac Spider-Man games. I hope we get to see more. And for the God of me, do not do a Spider-Gwen game. I am begging you, do not. And I mean, do not do one. No. But yeah, other than that, the video game was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. And I hope everybody else enjoyed it. And if you guys have any comments, like, subscribe, share any comments about the video games. Tell me if you didn't like it or did like it, or if you faced any issues with the game. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.